Hi, welcome to another exciting show of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and another exciting guest. Back by popular demand. I know you guys heard her song on the I Am Beast Radio on social media. I'm no longer looking. Numb. And all kind of, I'm no longer looking. I'm no longer looking.
Oh, you're sounding good. You're sounding good. This time of the night, you sounding real good.
Let's welcome to the show, the one and only, the beautiful Sase. What's up, baby girl?
Oh, what's going on? Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I couldn't end 2025 without having you come back on and share with the viewers everything that you've done and the beautiful music that you've put out since last time you was here. But for the viewers that don't know you, who is Sase?
Sase is a pure R&B singer who spent a lot of time in Atlanta. And that's where I've kind of put my grassroots as far as, branching into this so-called music business. But born and raised out of North Carolina, did a lot of singing in the church choir. But yeah, that was always my passion from day one, reaching into this world. So here I am.
Isn't it funny? Like most of us, our path started when it's singing in the church.
Yes.
I wonder what happened to me. I sung a few bars in the church. I guess
you wasn't in the pulpit.
I was too bad to be in the pulpit. Well, I was going there for the snacks.
I got you.
Like, what time is it over? We can go get the fried chicken. I want to go downstairs where the real activity's at. But North Carolina to Atlanta. What was it like growing up for you in North Carolina? I don't hear too many R&B singers coming out of that region. Not saying that there isn't. It just I don't know of any myself.
Well, if you want to go back to the old school, you had LTD, Greensboro, North Carolina, which where I, went to grade school and middle school and high school.
Really?
Yeah.
I like LTD.
I mean, that's one that comes off the top of my head.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But that's the only one that come off the top of my head. But I'm sure there is gazillion more. Sybil, Barbara Weathers, who was with Atlantic Star. We went to the same high school out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Oh my God, I had a crush on her so bad.
Really?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Something about her singing those couple songs on that album was just like, wow. If I can only find somebody that can sing like that. So when you was growing up in North Carolina, who were your role models? Because in the music industry, because that's not a lot, but those are some definitely magnifying names when you talk about R&B music today. But who were some of the people that you looked up to?
Well, the Jackson, Michael Jackson, he was definitely, popping at that time in that era for me. My mother, she played a lot of gospel music, so there was a lot of Mahalia Jackson and all of the Thompson community choirs. When you're going way back, listening to those type of music, James Cleveland, in his choir, but a lot of Al Green, a lot of OJs, a lot of Temptations, Cameo. I used to love listening to Cameo and the Commodores, and it was just all of it. All of it.
But a big family. North Carolina, was it big?
Yes, I mean, I was an only child for some time. So me and my sister, we got a pretty big age gap. But I was the only child for about 13 years until my mom decided she wanted to have another baby. But on my mother's side, she had like 14 siblings, and then my dad's side had 12 siblings. So I had a lot of uncles and aunties and cousins. And I remember my auntie, she took me to my first concert, and it happened to be the Gap Band.
I know you're lying, right? Check this out.
Yeah.
My first concert, they must have been doing a worldwide tour. My first concert was the Gap Band, Rick James,
Yes, that was the show.
and Tina Marie,
Yes.
and People Bryson. And we was at Market Square Arena, which they no longer have.
Mhm.
And that was the best concert. We sat in the 11th row on the lower level, and it was just like I was just like in awe with those great performers
Mhm.
especially when you talk about the Gap Band. I mean, but then to be followed up with Rick James and then
Yeah, I
Tina
remember Rick
Marie.
James and Tina Marie, but we had DeBarge on that lineup.
Yeah, we wound up having People Bryson, and I mean, oh my God. That's a concert. Those are concerts you don't forget. I don't care how old you get, you don't forget that. But because that was your first concert and my first concert, what was that like for you?
I was in awe. I mean, my auntie handed me the binoculars, and I was just like fascinated. Um, and it just fulfilled it even more. Like, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. I
What?
want to be on stage. I want people to feel what I'm feeling right now,
Right.
from these performers.
What? Let me see. When that concert was here, I was probably like I was still in high school.
I was younger. Yeah, they introduced me to going to the shows probably when I was like 10, 11.
Man, you're lucky. You got to get in there at that
Yes.
age. Okay,
Yes, I did.
you got a pretty good family, dog.
My auntie was popping. she she took her little niece up in there.
So we know growing up in certain parts of the country, especially when you talk about North Carolina, South Carolina, we talk about Georgia, certain parts of Florida, dreams for something like that is almost, not spoken.
Mhm.
It's kind of like people say, "Oh, girl, you go ahead," and the far as that it becomes is, a dream because it stays in the church and that's as usually as far as it goes because a lot of people don't feel like that you might get let down. How did you manage to maneuver through that? Was your family that supportive of you seeking that dream? Because let's get real, those parts of the region, it's not a lot of support for that, especially being a female. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, what really secured my confidence was school. Um, they highly embraced music in school, where you had chorus, you had the jazz band, you had the marching band, you had, orchestra. So I was involved in all of that. And I had great chorus teachers. So by the time I got in high school, I was well known because I was always doing the national anthem for like the homecoming games and things of that nature. So by the time I got to high school, the band leader sought after me to be in the jazz band. And so that's when I started doing a lot of Irene Cara songs. So it was always there for me with my educators and the students that, I associated with who was also, musicians.
You mentioned the foundation was through education. Did that carry on to college for you?
I did not go to college, but I did go to, when I finished school, I did go to Atlanta and I did attend a music business institute that was on Peachtree.
Why
Um,
Atlanta out of all the other places
why
you went
not?
to?
Why
Because
not?
Atlanta really wasn't popping back then like it is
What?
now.
What?
I mean,
Are you kidding me?
it was okay, but most of the music that you was hearing was further north. And well, it depends on the region. If I'm down in Georgia where I grew up, the main hub is going to be Atlanta. But Atlanta wasn't getting the same vibration music that the Midwest and Chicago was getting in New York.
Mhm.
And same as California. So you got these other destinations that you could have picked. So why gravitate to Atlanta?
Just popping in, visiting as a childhood, I loved the vibe that it gave. And I don't know, it was just my destiny, to be there. And why not? Look what happened. I ended up meeting some wonderful, wonderful music business people in Atlanta. I mean, you had some groups that was really jumping off, like 112,
Mhm.
during that time. And then if it was not for me being in Atlanta, I would have never met Mr. Tommy Henderson, who was in LaFace Records at the time, during that time.
Right.
So that was the connection to bring me to Uncle Jam's.
When
So there were pieces of the puzzle that kind of came together. Didn't know it then.
so you went there on a blind steer. You didn't know what was about
Yes.
to happen. Really?
No.
Oh, how old were you when
Exactly.
you went there?
When I was 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Young, wild, and crazy.
Call it what you may.
I'm calling it young,
Call it what
wild, and
you
crazy.
may.
I know about Atlanta now. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I
That was when
remember.
Freaknik was in
Yeah,
his
like I
prime.
said, I know about Atlanta now. Yeah, and I do remember that change, the change of the guards. I remember when um, Babyface went to Atlanta. I remember when all of that started popping in the Freakniks. It changed, but I didn't really see it change musically at that time because they were still getting their feet wet in that particular genre. Because I remember I would spend a lot of my times up around the Chicago area, and I would bring back music that people in the South had never even heard. It was like, wow. With that said, we're a little bit older. I'm older than you, but how has music changed since then for you? We went from trying to be discovered, being in the right room, to now being an overnight sensation if you get the algorithms.
Yeah. Sickening. If it's like if you're not that kid, if you're not in that popular club, you can forget it. It has changed.
Is it
And
more difficult? And if so, why?
I would say it's more difficult because you can have the talent, you can put in the work as far as, getting your materials out there, like it used to be demos,
Mhm.
knowing somebody, putting it in the right hands, that kind of thing. But now, if you don't have a following, if you don't have, like you said, the algorithms, you don't have the social media, you know, Tundra or whatever you want to call it, it's just it's hard. It's very hard.
Because you come from, I'm not going to say old school. Let's put it
Mhm.
like this. You came from a generation where uh, boots on the concrete
Yes.
was important. Networking was important.
Yes.
If the social media crashed today, the Spotify's, the Apple, and all that kind of stuff, what do you think is going to happen to the new generation with music as well as yourself? In other words, are people really, do people have the skill set? Remember what I said. You came from a generation where boots were on the concrete. You was networking. You was making sure you was shaking hands. You was traveling to different destinations. What do you think that's going to be? Nobody can really tell, but from your experience, how do you think that's going to affect the music industry and the artist industry if the social media just happens to say, you know what, we made our money, forget you artists?
Yeah, it would be quite interesting because then they would have to revert back to terrestrial radio, to television, you know, earning people's interest by turning to that channel. So for us, our generation and a little bit younger, we could handle it because we know how to game. It's just like vinyl. Vinyl is not new to us, but vinyl is new to a lot of people, that are in that social media frenzy. So we know how to throw it in the trunk. We know how to knock on doors and seek out the DJs and, and play our stuff, do some local hometown parties and, just
Some
put your music out
grassroots,
there. Yeah.
grassroots stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the most difficult transition for you? Because you came through that era and you also saw the new evolution of digital technology. What has been the the good, the bad, and the ugly for you with this?
The good is that I am versatile enough to where I can still fit in. That's the good. The ugly for me, I would say, the generational gap, as far as trying to be in that what you call that box.
Yeah.
And I don't like being in a box. I like being me.
What do you mean, like being in the box? Go a little bit deeper than that. I think you was holding back on me.
I don't want to, sound like I'm, being negative or anything like that. But you know how they used to call it like the bubblegum music, where it's just a lot of words but no meaning. All you in the repetitiveness of the music, no live instrumentation, just sound.
Everything
And
is computerized now. You don't need a live band. You can sit there at the computer and
I love my musicians. I love the live. I love it.
when you go on tour, do you use live musicians or do you stick with the digital age?
Right now I'm digital.
But you don't
Right
really
now I'm
like it, do
digital.
you?
I do not, because if I want to, take it back to the bridge, I can't. With a band, I can take it back to the bridge. But when it's digital, it's from start to finish. Next song. So there's no revamping. There's no, extra ad-libbing and prolonging the song because you're feeling it. It's just
How much of your creativity is lost because of that?
a lot. A lot.
Let's go a little bit. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, I was just recalling a time when I was performing overseas. It was actually in Australia. And when you start seeing, the reaction from the audience where they're moving or where they get up and they dancing, and then you turn around and you signal the band to, go back, because they're in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's when right there I was like, I love this, but right now it's digital for me.
You mentioned Australia. What are some of the other exciting places you perform in? What was the culture like versus I guess are they more into the digital age when you go abroad and different places to perform? Are they more like you? They like the live band. They like to get up and engage.
They love the live. They love it. And like I said, they like classics, And so that's what I was doing. I was doing a lot of classic music, bringing it to them, from the United States. And they embraced it. No judgment. As long as it felt good and sounded good, they were happy.
What do you mean classic? Give me some samples of some classics.
Well, when I say classic, I went on a tour in Spain, as it was basically they called it Tour de Spain with the Supreme sound. So we did all of the Supreme music. It was me and two other girls. And so we toured all over Spain doing that when we had live band, and it was phenomenal. And then when I was in Australia, we did the timeless pieces of the Platters, which is way, way back. I didn't know none of them songs. So that was, I was like, oh, what? But I was, they had to have, the female. So I had to, like you said, I had to learn it. I had to learn the harmony, classic moves, the smoothness, band, all of that.
Now, how do you jiggle a career? You have another career outside of singing, right?
Yes, I do.
How do you jiggle all that? Now you're over in Spain, you're in Australia, you're in Europe, you're in Africa, you're in Czechoslovakia, you're in Ireland. I mean,
I have seasons.
Okay, so you got a pretty good job. They let you do that?
No, I just have seasons to where, I plan it. So during my job, I have off seasons to where I can travel. But I've kind of backed off on the overseas travel a little while ago.
Why?
So, it gets kind of much. It gets much living out of a suitcase, hotel to hotel. It may seem like it's a glamorous life, but it's not. It's not.
Let's get real. You miss being home at the U.S.
Yeah, I do, and I miss, yeah, you're right. There's no other way of putting it. I missed being home with my family.
Speaking of your family, they must be pretty supportive. Tell me about your family and how they rally around you with this, because let's get real. A lot of people don't think that somebody can achieve what you've just done, and you've done that. How do they look at you now?
Well, number one, supportive husband. So if you don't have that spouse that's going to be supportive, then you're already on a rocky road.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents at the time, they were very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
They were my biggest cheerleaders. And my sister, she's phenomenal. You know, she encourages me to not give up and, you know, just keep pushing forward.
Now, you mentioned supportive husband.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, check this out.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I play your music on IMB's radio, so I'm listening to every single word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer looking. Was that written to him?
No. Actually, that song was given to me by Uncle James.
Excuse me?
Called me up. Yeah, Uncle James.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He called me up. He said, "Hey, Sase, I got this song that popped in, you know, that I've been thinking about, and I got the hook." And he kind of, do his little hum thing, and say the hook. And he said, "But I want you to write. I want you to write to it." And then he got me with Anthony Damone Bush. And so, yeah.
Really? He had something to do with that song?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like it.
Yes. It had nothing to do with me and hubby or any other situation. That was all Uncle James having this idea. And he said, "You know what, I said, you ain't no longer looking, because all your songs, you've been, you've been in a hunt."
It was, you know what? This is so funny. Like, to listen to your songs, and they're really emotional. You would think that you've been through the worst breakups ever.
Well, I mean, life has had its tumbles, but you
Really?
know what? Yeah, but you pick it up and you keep pushing forward.
Like, even Numb. You know, I was like, okay, is she like sending subliminal messages through her?
I know that's an incredible song there. I did not write that song, but yeah, it was very it was interesting doing that one.
Why was that so? What was the difference? What was interesting between that one and No Longer Looking? Did you hear
there?
me say?
No.
I said, what was the difference between that one, Numb, and No Longer Looking?
Numb was kind of like in the beginning of my kneecap journey. So I was still getting my footing, just trying to see, what Sase was really going to bring, to the label. So I was still kind of feeling the waters with the musicians and the writers and so forth when I came on Kneecap during that time. But No Longer Looking, I was, was able to be creative. Mm-hmm. One, writing and things of that nature, and more seasoned, knowing exactly, what I wanted to portray and how I wanted to sound, and where did I want to take the song to the next level, with different, ups and downs in the music.
You were saying that was early when you first got with the label, and you were trying to find let's say your niche.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your niche prior to that then?
My niche prior to that, I would say, were more of your like Whitney Houston kind of stuff, but you just couldn't come out as an artist claiming to be, the next Whitney Houston, because Whitney Houston is in a lane of her own.
Right.
So you had to kind of get out of that, because I did a lot of tribute bands. So that's when I came into Kneecap. It's like I had to dismantle all of the other stuff and just get back to the basic of who I am as an artist.
Why did you gravitate? Why was you so, I won't say mesmerized, but why Whitney Houston? When there's Patti LaBelle, there's Aretha Franklin.
Well, because she was the it, she was the voice, and she could sing, she could sing. So she offered a lot, to our music industry. And I feel like that she did pave a way, for a lot of female musicians.
What was that
But
spark that made you say, look, I need my own?
yeah,
I need my own. What was that defining moment? How did you go about tailoring that? Was it through writing your first songs? Was it
yes.
through talking with your husband and saying, look, does this sound like me? Like, who did you confide in? How did you come up with the Sase niche?
Turning off the radio, listening to those tracks that was being sent to me and say, okay, here you are. Pull off the mask and let's see what Sase can do. Even though, I still branched back into the back of my mind with the gospel. I still, went back in the back of my mind of different artists that I like. Didn't want to try to mimic them or try to sound like them or try to do certain things that they do, but just wanted to just say, hey, this is how I want it to feel. Just took all those experiences and then came with who I am. That's it.
You mentioned your husband. You do a lot of traveling. How do you keep that relationship? What would you tell somebody that's in your field, especially a female? How do you keep peace? How do you keep romance? How do you keep all that intact? When you're on the road, you have a job, you're working with different artists. Your plate is full, dog. How do you do this?
Well, number one, you have to be compatible. You have to have a partner who is not, first of all, insecure or feel
Threatened.
Yeah. So you have to have that supporting piece and knowing from the start, what you love doing. And also maybe have some common interests, having that same interest in music, loving to listen to music. So that helps. That helps. And, because I was who I was, when we, came to be.
Wait a minute.
You don't
hold the thought. What does that mean? That's all the attitude. Because I was who I was.
Who loved music.
Okay.
Who I was, I loved music. I enjoyed music. So quite naturally, that was a prime piece that person would have to be a lover of music as well.
Interesting. Now, let's go to the business side. Back to the business side of your career. Most evidently, you were an independent artist prior to going with the MECAP line. Were you doing things on your own, managing, booking, the whole 9 yards, writing, collaborating?
I wasn't with a label, but I was with like an entertainment agency. And that's how I was able to, do all of the tribute shows and things of that nature. So I would audition if there was a need for a female and so forth. So I was just independent, yes, but nothing label related.
When did the game change?
The game changed when I was in Atlanta.
Here you go, back in Atlanta. Everything happens for you in Atlanta.
Yes, I was living in Atlanta. And I said, well, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm just missing something here. I don't understand what's happening. So I said, well, maybe I need to take voice lessons, just try to broaden my spectrum. So I met this young lady and we was doing voice, she was telling me to do this and that. She said, whoa, wait a minute. You know what? You need to be in the studio. She said, you don't need to be in here. You need to be in a studio. So she introduced me to this gentleman and I started just, working with him in the studio and just kind of just doing, demos and stuff like that. And then from there, I was meeting some other people who were doing studio sessions and musicians and things of that nature. So there was this conference that was going on, which was a music conference. Mm-hmm. And Tommy Henderson happened to be on the panel. And I was very good friends with the gentleman who was running, you know, the the music business Q&A kind of thing.
Right.
And so that's how I got to know, actually, that's how I got to know Tommy Henderson. And so when I had all these demos and stuff, I just started throwing it at him. And so at that time, that's when he, was, close to Uncle Jams. And it just flew off at
Isn't it
that
funny
point.
how you can be in a room and opportunity can be right there in front of you, but unless you take the initiative, it probably would have never even happened.
Yeah. I feel like things, happen for a reason. And that was definitely the reason for the season.
So when you wind up and got discovered, what needed to be polished? What did it need to take you over the top? Because let's get real. At the end of the day, you're trying to be successful. You're trying to make a career. You're trying to be financially secure. So if you knew that you had some weaknesses, you wouldn't have walked into the voice lesson and the lady said you need to go here and go there. So there are some flaws. So what did they do to you? What did they tell you that you needed to do to elevate your brand?
Open up and just let it go. Don't hold back. I know my first single, If I Told You, that was recorded actually in Atlanta. And that's when I met G. LeBeau with the Rude Boys. And he did all the, the backgrounds in that track. And, and I listened to him. He said, you know what, when you try to hit this note, he said, you don't know, the secret is you need to smile when you sing that note. Just smile. And you'll be amazed how the sound will come out so much differently over the mic. So just little things like that, that I gravitated to. And keeps you on pitch too.
How's that?
I don't know. Like, it's just bringing it out.
Now you worked with Nutbush as well. What was that like?
It was fun. He's a very laid back producer. And the reason why I like him so much is that he lets you explore. When he brings you something, he always like, okay, tell me what you're thinking. What else do you need? What do you think? You want this here? Like the song that, Reciprocal Love.
Oh, I like that.
And yeah, and he gave me the track and I'm listening to it. He said, well, okay, so I said, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? I said, I want live bass.
Really?
And yeah. And he said, okay. He said, let me work it out.
I like that song. What was so special about that song?
That was another Uncle Jam's idea. And yeah, and Nutbush, he did the first verse of Reciprocal Love. And I did the second verse and the hook. I did the second verse and the bridge. So I like this. I love that song.
I do too.
Because it goes back to that question that you were saying. How do you make your partner, your husband or your wife, how do you make that work?
Right.
It's because people say you gotta, do 50-50. Not necessarily sometimes, because sometimes I may not be on 50. I may be on 30 on a day. Yeah. But your partner has to be willing to step up and be that 70. And vice versa. He may come home and he may be on 25. And I have to step up and be that 75. So you can't expect to be 50-50 every day throughout the year. Yeah. So that's where that reciprocal love, it's got to be equal in all areas of your relationship.
Now, check this out. Check this out. So you got Nutbush writing. You got Sid with to his credit so far with you. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to say this the right way. Make sure it comes out right. When do you take the bulls and start really putting? When did you shift the narrative and start writing your own emotions? versus singing somebody else's?
Uncle Jams. When Uncle Jam say, "Hey, I need you to do this," do it. Because I feel like if he has the confidence in me to say, right to this track, right to this melody, then if someone else can say that to you,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to feel like there's something that they see in you that you can do.
Do you bring a lot of your own struggles and emotions in when somebody gives you that challenge?
Yes. One particular song that I really, I'm so mad.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
That song is crazy.
Yeah.
How much of that is personal? How much of that is personal?
The narrative is not, the video and everything. That was a message that I wanted to put out there because at that time it was a lot of people in the world that was really going through a lot with COVID and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, selflessness that people were feeling. But as far as I'm so mad, yeah, there was some things that was happening that, when you give so much to someone, say a family member, so forth, and then you have to set boundaries, it's tough, when you love a person so much, but then you realize that that is not a healthy situation for you to be in. So that fueled a lot in that song.
How many people actually go through that and try to create an imitation of love and stick with that kind of stuff, even though they know it can't do nothing but tear them down deeper?
Everybody, a lot of folks every day.
You
I was just having a conversation with some friends of mine, and I said, I think the hardest thing for people to understand is boundaries. That is the best thing that you can do for yourself, is to set boundaries, because your mental health is number one. If your mental health is not there, then your physical health is going to just eventually break down.
how tight are your boundaries in your own personal life? How tight is that boundary structure with you? And
Very, very
what made
tight.
you decide to put that up? Were you having people overstepping those boundaries with your kindness?
Exactly. There's a lot of people in this world that feel entitled just because, and not put in the work. So, and that's all that they're interested in, is what they think in their mind that they're entitled to.
How hard was that for you to shift? Because it sounds like you're speaking from experience.
It was very hard. And it wasn't easy at all. But it had to be done.
Wow. Now, let's go a little bit lighter. I got you too serious now. Let's get that smile back. I had the pleasure of meeting you when you came here a couple years ago with the music convention that MECAP put on every year. It was beautiful seeing you for the first time and hearing you sing. I thought it was just like, wow. But you didn't get a chance to come this year.
No.
You must have been really tied up. Oh, I know, you was in Africa or Spain or somewhere like that. When you did come, was that your first time going to one of those events?
I want to say it was my second. I want to say it was my second time.
What did you learn from there? You've been in the industry a lot longer than some of the artists that is up under you. Not saying you're old, so don't let people, you have experience. Let's put it like this: your experience outweighs a lot of those. But when you did go to your first or the second one, what did you take away from that, and what did you ask yourself? Wow, I didn't really know that. I've been in this game long enough.
Well, basically, with the panel, you had a lot of seasoned people in the industry that's giving you valuable information. And when I say valuable, is basically what we were talking about earlier, the spin of then and now. And I guess most importantly, if you don't love the entertainment business, if you don't love it, don't expect to get in it and get rich. That's the key thing.
Right.
That and yeah, that was the key focus. Don't get in it to get rich. You gotta love it to stay in it. It's almost like looking at it as a hobby.
It's funny you said that. I didn't want to say that because I think we talked about this when we had 12 and Dead Silence on. And, I could be pretty candid, but I'd also like to be respectable of people's emotions and realizing that when you're doing something like this, you do want to get paid. But a lot of times, those in your industry, in any industry, those things only happen if you're in the right position.
Yeah.
To allow that to happen. It's kind of like I tell people, you can be the most talented person in the world, but at the end of the day, it's not what you know, it's who you know and who they know. And if they find value in what you're offering.
Right.
Why do you think people have such a hard time?
And invest in yourself.
That was my other part. And a lot of them, this is so funny. This is so funny. I find this with a lot of people. I even talk about this on social media. I think it goes over people's head. To obtain something, you have to do something you've never done. And the one thing that people don't do is, like you said, they don't invest in themselves. That means emotionally, spiritually, and financially.
Right.
When you did that,
exactly.
When you put all three of those together, how did it change your perspective in the industry and you as a whole and you as a business person, entrepreneur? Because Gabriel, you're an entrepreneur.
Don't quit your day job. Number one.
Unless you got a contract in front of you that's guaranteeing that up front.
Exactly. Yeah, don't quit your day job. But like I said, I do it because I love it. And I love making people feel good. It's like after I finish, my local gigs here in Southwest Florida and the feedback that you get from people, it's like, oh, I came in and I was having a bad day. When you sung that song, it just lightened up my heart. That's rewarding to me.
Isn't it?
That I can change. Yes, that I can change someone's mood or someone's outlook on life just by singing.
Isn't it amazing how I tell people all the time? All you got to do is touch one person.
Yeah.
It registers so much inside to have that one person acknowledge. But it makes you wonder. Music is supposed to be the healing instrument to everybody. But are people so, I'm not going to say self-absorbed because I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Have people become so cold-hardened that emotion release is almost like condemning them to just come out and say, you know what? Just imagine if 50 people, because one person wasn't the only person you touched, is what I'm saying. Right. So what happened to the other people who just walked away and felt good and didn't even acknowledge it? But just think if they had have acknowledged it, what their life may have felt like when they walked out of that arena.
I think it's more so that we have, as a society, a lot of people have become desensitized because, first of all, social media, not having that conversation with their children or with their spouse or with their mom or with their dad. So they're just focused on what it is and not exploring their emotions. So first of all, you got to talk about it.
Yeah.
So And then you have just, what would I say? You would have haters, that may be sitting there judging you the whole time and not exactly just enjoying. They want to find the negative and everything. You go out on social media and then what you have, those people that find the bad in everything that's in a post when it's all in good intentions.
Yeah.
So you have those there too.
Let's go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting ready. You have a new song out. Tell me about that. How did that came about? What's the story behind it?
Reciprocal love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go deeper with that, because it's just when I hear it, I hear bars that make me go, wow, how did she think like that? And it just keeps registering and registering. So do a lot of your girlfriends come to you and tell you things that they go through? Because I hear a lot of girlfriend chatter in that song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is from, just living, but I do listen a lot. I'm in I guess in an area where the age can go from 20 to 90.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of 90 and 80-year-olds that love to still party. So
Really?
I listen to them. Yes. I listen to them all. And so when I'm hearing this, it's just the same game, but different players. You've heard that how many times?
Yeah.
And it's truth. The story doesn't change at all.
Just the characters.
Right. And so I'm finding now, actually I have a friend, she is in her late 30s and she's at the point to where she does not want she does not want a relationship. She doesn't want a partner. She just want to cohabitate with an individual and just not have any type of, obligation.
But you ask questions like, why?
Well, I do. And I tell her, I said, it's not all lost. I said, love is still out there. Love is still out there, but
She's giving up on it.
Yeah.
That's sad that we've gotten to that position, that trust, honesty, and respect has clouded everybody's judgment into almost a sense of hopelessness to say that true love isn't obtainable, when you can listen to your music and say, I don't believe that it is. I believe that there is a possibility.
It is. And I think a lot of times too, our expectations sometimes exceed our need.
I'm hearing a lot of that from people.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that a lot of from people, especially women. I think that with this new movement of independence, women have become almost masculine and raised the bar up to these crazy. It's funny when a woman says you don't meet my expectations. I was like, okay, well, what's your expectations of a guy? Let's flip the script. Like, where's the meeting ground here? What's your take on that? Because you write a lot of you say a lot of love songs, but that's one of the things. And then another thing that I find truly interesting. Let's go back to what you just said. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking the love game here with Sase.
Okay.
Communication.
Yeah.
I notice if I talk to somebody, they cannot even carry a conversation. And then the second part of that is not being accountable. Not showing up.
Yeah.
What do you think we lost everything? I know it's a digital age, but let's get real. I mean, these people grow up with values and morals and the sense of talking. Don't send me an emoji. Pick up the phone and talk. or have something to talk about. If you ask somebody what's their purpose or what their dreams, they can't even tell you anymore what they want.
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things. I'm not sure, if how your youth era was, but I would say probably back as we were growing up, there were more co-parenting,
Mm-hmm.
and then as things moved along, it became more acceptable to get divorces. I mean, divorces just was like nothing. It was like drinking water. And then you had all these single family households. So that broke down a lot, where you didn't have that family unit sitting around the dinner table having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
How was your day? What would have done differently? What do you want to do this weekend? Or making plans, family vacations, all of these things. So that was that connection. But when things started breaking down, in the household, you had to fend for yourself and go for what you know. And with the digital age, that's their best friend. It doesn't talk back. You find your interest in what you want. Find that interest in what agrees with you, not disagree with you.
We're talking love talk with Sase, the Andre The Beast Crayton show. I don't get a chance to talk this kind of stuff, but when you got a female like Sase that's writing beautiful love ballads, you got to have a feel that she knows what she's talking about. She's been through the hurt, she's been through the pain, and it resonates in her music. Since it resonates in your music, let's talk about different players, same game. Who are you mostly touching? What age bracket with women, and why? Because I know you're getting feedback from both sides.
Yeah.
The loved and the unloved and the want to be loved is what I'm saying.
I would say the age bracket can run from, the 30s up through, 70s, 70-year-olds. I have 70-year-olds that stream my music,
What do they say when you see them when you're performing live? Like, what are some of the stuff that they share with you after listening to your music or hearing you perform?
Oh, you sound so good. I really enjoyed that song. And then the next thing is, but why are you here? Why are you not in Hollywood? And I said, well, if I was in Hollywood, then you wouldn't be hearing me today. Wow. I said, I'm here because I'm supposed to be here for you.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah.
I heard this out of your own mouth before we wrap up. You're no longer in North Carolina.
No.
You're no longer in Atlanta.
No.
You're in Florida.
Yes.
What took you to Florida? And what part of Florida? The Tampa area, Fort Lauderdale, Miami?
I'm about 2 hours south of Tampa, so I'm right in that curve, right in the boot.
Let me see.
Fort
2
Myers,
hours. So you're in Lakeland? Is it Lakeland?
No.
Not Clearwater.
No, you're on the East Coast. I'm on the Gulf.
I used to live in Tampa. I'm trying to think where you Sarasota area?
Come on further south. You got Fort Myers.
Yeah.
You have Cape Coral. You have Naples.
Yeah.
You have Bonita Springs. You have all of that right in there.
What took you down there? You like the weather?
The weather, and believe it or not, and you probably going to disagree with me, but for a local artist, it's phenomenal.
I disagree with you. I disagree.
Well,
I'm just playing.
Well, I'm telling you, musicians work here all year long.
Jabin Jackson is in the Tampa area, and he says the same thing. He loves it. He's busy year round. You know what I mean? Like performing. But when I moved to Tampa, it was like in 2000 and 2003. They was just they when they won a Super Bowl, they was dealing with mass fluctuation of people coming there. And I wasn't used to that coming from Indiana. You know, they couldn't even drive with the rain. I'm like, okay. I stayed there for about a year and I was like, I got to go. But now,
Right.
you know, Florida's a whole different hub now. It's music,
Yes.
it's entertainment, it's sports.
Mhm.
I mean, everything is there.
Everything.
What's the
Yes.
difference between Florida now and Atlanta now and then?
Florida now is more of a, I guess, a melting pot. Um, we have everybody that's coming here. So you're getting a lot of diversity in culture and music, and it's becoming to be accepted. You know, I know there's a lot of bad press, you know, about the state of Florida,
Right.
but you can't beat the weather. And if it's a hurricane coming, you getting pretty doggone well advanced notice to get out if you need to.
You just going back to Atlanta for a couple of days.
So it's beautiful here. It's beautiful here. Like I said, it's a musician's paradise.
With so much culture, it's funny. As I say, I just talked to somebody about this yesterday. It was like, well, what did you not like about Florida that made you leave so early? I said I wasn't prepared for Florida, and what I mean by that, I wasn't used to. Now I'm a minority in Florida, and it's like because there's so much. There's the Latino community. There's the Puerto Rican community. There's, I mean, everybody. And
Yes.
I realized, you know what? When I come here, I need to know how to speak Spanish and all kind of other languages because, you know, you can go down to what's the name of that party street in Tampa? They close, they open up at night, whatever it is.
Okay.
I can't think of the name.
Ybor.
Ybor. And I went down there when I first. I said, "Lord have mercy, I can't speak. My English ain't doing no good down here." But I noticed one thing that was different. That was noticeable. Music.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, music brought everybody together.
Yes,
You didn't have to speak the language. All you had to do was dance.
Yep. Even South Beach. You know, you got all kinds of music going on South Beach.
So I say, I appreciate you taking time to come on the show and bless me going into 2026 by making sure we close out with having you on the show. What's next for you? What's 2026 like for Sase? Please tell me you're coming to Indianapolis to be a part of the MECAP Music Extravaganza this year because we missed you. Hopefully you're going to be there in 2026.
I'm going to do my best to be there. And hopefully, you know, by spring, there'll be another single and coming with that single, a video. So we just got to just keep it in the grind and keep moving forward.
How can the viewers reach out to you, Sase, to listen to your music and to know more about you, even book you for guest appearances?
Absolutely. You can find me on all of the social media platforms, Sase, S-A-S-E, TheSinger, TheSinger. And I'm on all streaming, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, everything. So just put it in there. It'll pop up.
You know what? Make sure you guys subscribe, like, share, follow. Like I said on every episode, make sure you click that button. All it does is change the difference in your life and somebody else's. So I say thank you so much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.